Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Our research topic is Inspiring Distance Teacher, presented by Professors Olga, Lidia, Sánchez, Cruz, and María del Pilar, Balbuena, Ortega. Let's start by introducing the topic by saying that due to the pandemic, education changed a lot with a distinctive rise of e-learning, whereby teaching is undertaken remotely and on digital platforms. The shift to online education has meant rethinking lessons plans to fit a very different format, as those teachers have lost that personal interaction with their students. Then teachers needed to adapt their practices and be creative to keep students engaged, as every household has become a classroom. Teachers have to adapt to the actual pandemic to improve themselves and their teaching methodologies. They use different platforms, websites, and apps for their English classes. The challenges were many and different, okay? They face a lot of challenges, like technical obstacles, students conditioning, the participation of the students, and online teaching experience. Moving to virtual classes moving to a virtual space definitely brings new opportunities for active learning and students' engagement. In spite of all this difficult situation, this new space for teaching brought about a lot of new strategies and new conditions for learning. The importance of this research lies on exploring the way teachers adapted to new teaching techniques and strategies to involve their students when learning English during the pandemic. Understanding the importance of teachers' motivation in carrying out online learning. Knowing the impact teachers have on the students' performances with distance learning, and exploring teachers' inspirational qualities for students. So then the research question emerged from this study. And our question is, what makes a teacher inspiring for students during the pandemic? The main objective of this research was to know what qualities of English teacher inspire students' effort to learn a second language with distance learning. Let's review some aspects that the experts have talked about. So because of this situation, because of the pandemic, as I said before, teachers needed to adapt their practices and be creative in order to engage students into this new way of learning. So then online learning emerged. And we know that online learning is divided into two different aspects. Synchronous interaction or synchronous way of teaching, and asynchronous. The synchronous aspect has to do with the direct interaction between teachers, students, and students' teacher. And asynchronous interaction has to do with this indirect learning, so different time and spaces. Then we have this idea of developing this personal learning environment and self-regulation from the same students. Why? Because we have to integrate in a way formal and informal learning using social media and to support self-regulated learning for students in higher educational context. In this case, we are talking about students at the BA. The most important figure, of course, the most important figure are students, but teachers played an important role, or are playing an important role nowadays within this situation. They have to adapt their way of teaching. They have to adapt their own methodologies and strategies to teach our students. And they then play different roles, so they are playing different roles. One of the main aspects that are mentioned, according to Giliochuk and Dorney, 2008, it's this idea of implementing motivational strategies. The idea is connecting lessons content to pupils' lives. So we have to have this empathy with our students and establishing a good rapport between teacher and students. This place more motivational learning behavior is another aspect that the teachers have to consider for establishing this good rapport with their students. For example, this idea of working as a collaborative group, developing pair work and group work, using these breakout rooms as a way of doing this, and establishing a pleasant atmosphere for these students. Empathy was one of the main elements that they mentioned in order to create this rapport with our students. What was the methodology we used for developing this research? Survey research. Survey research is defined as the collection of information from a sample of individuals through the responses to questions. Check and Shock, 2012, page 160. Survey research then can use quantitative as well as qualitative strategies. And with regard to the qualitative strategies, they mentioned the open-ended questions, and that is the kind of instrument we use, taken from this research, type of research. We use a survey with open and ended questions. Talking about the implementation of hope research, it took place at the B8 in English, at the B8 in English at the UV, at the University of Veracruz in Jalapa. We investigated in the morning with the morning and afternoon shift groups. The participants were 25 students enrolled in the teaching area courses. There were 16 female students and 9 male students around 22 years old.
The data collection procedures consisted of asking learners to describe a good English teacher and the qualities they need to inspire learners. In addition, they were also asked to reflect on the strategies they used to motivate them during this pandemic. After surveying learners, the data was analyzed and classified into 4 categories. The first category is teachers' methodology. The second, teachers' professional skills. The third, teachers' personal qualities, and the fourth, effects on learners. As far as the first category is concerned, the teacher's methodology, for the students, it is any kind of methodology used by the teacher, either professional methods or techniques that can help or hinder the learner's English knowledge and skills in a broadly motivating way, as long as learners feel a personal connection with the teacher. Some of the aspects learners mention are interactive classes, good curriculum knowledge, good balance of activities, balance between theory and practice. What we can see here is that despite that it is important for learners to have, that the teacher should have a good knowledge of the curriculum and the subject that he or she is teaching, it is also important the creation of interactive classes which allow them to have a better relationship among themselves and with the teacher. The second category, teachers' professional qualities. For the learners, it is the ability to suggest ways in which teachers could design more motivating classroom tasks, especially during this pandemic situation. Some of the important aspects that students mention are adaptability to constant changes, commitment, knowledgeable, updated, exploit creativity. Here, what students confessed is that they like the idea that seeing their teachers adapting to the changes of these virtual learning environments. It was not only the idea of being committed teachers responsible and trying to create good language classes, but also they saw that their teachers could exploit their creativity by designing new kinds of materials and adapting to the use of new virtual classes, applications, and platforms to teach. The third category, teachers' personal qualities. By providing a pleasant learning environment, the learners commented, teachers help to create motivational conditions, helping learners to be more enthusiastic about their learning. Teachers should consider the emotional side of the learner. And being empathetic to the difficulties learners face. For the learners, it is also important when their teachers make them believe in themselves and the things they can do. For example, they mentioned that the teacher being enthusiastic, passionate, and curious. This strengthened the bond between teacher and student. The teacher being empathetic, friendly, and supportive, it's a way of showing that they take care of the student as a human being. This was very important for the learners when they mentioned that they feel appreciated by the teacher. It's not only the way that teachers can teach them, but also to make them believe in themselves. The fourth category, effects on learners. All the comments learners made conclude that teachers do their best and motivate them when they set well-designed classroom tasks and promote learner autonomy. For example, while providing constructive feedback, it helps in encouraging positive effects on learners. All in all, teachers' effort results in a more positive attitude on the learner. The learners believe that they became better at the language. They became more productive and autonomous. Their production of the language was better. They changed their own perception of the courses, and they thought that language became more important for them. Finally, as conclusions, the role of the teacher during the pandemic is of big importance because learners rely on their knowledge of the subject as well as on their willingness to learn about applications and technology. Learners respond better when they feel appreciated and reassured. Learners feel inspired when they see the teacher does his or her best to transmit knowledge. In addition, inevitably challenges were brought about with the pandemic. However, teachers have become the most significant figure and source of inspiration within the virtual classes. When teachers set the conditions, learners respond in a more positive way. More motivated students result in better learning conditions, more autonomous learners, and better outcomes. Teachers can be admired for many different personal qualities. However, the rapport they build within the learners seems to be the most outstanding quality. In addition, teachers can have an impact on learners not only regarding the classwork, but also on their personal lives, for example, by increasing their confidence or becoming more independent. Inspiring teaching can change the relationship of a learner to a subject, making it seem enjoyable to learn, important in their lives, and also something that they can do well. Finally, teachers will rarely inspire a whole class anyway, because the process is always subjective. As the limitations we found, it's the fact that we were not able to contact all the students. Some of them didn't have the connection or the equipment to answer the survey. For further research, we think that it is important and necessary to explore teachers' perceptions and feelings during the pandemic. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to our talk. We hope you had enjoyed and find it interesting.
Thank you.